Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Well, it's my least favorite weather outside right now. My least favorite weather outside is hot, humid, and rainy. All of those things combined make for weather that I just despise. And of course, this weather that we're having is off of the heels of what was a very prolonged and exaggerated winter. And has led us into the most unfortunate of situations, and a situation that I knew we were going to be in, which is that it was going to be cold for way too long, that winter was going to last for much longer than it should, and then it immediately becomes hot. Just immediately. We go from sleeping inside of a space heater to sleeping on top of the covers naked inside of mosquito netting, basically overnight. So that is, of course, what's happening, and I hate it. And what better excuse is there to go used book shopping than when the weather is bad and you want to throw something at a wall? So that's what I did today, and I got an absolute pile of books. But before I go through all of the books that I've got in front of me, I wanted to mention one piece of housekeeping, which is my book giveaway. This is something that you might be familiar with if you've been around on my channel for a while. We just passed 1,000 subscribers, so I'm sure a bunch of people don't know. But when I first started the channel, I was actively giving away my books. I was offering a book every video, and people would email me and express interest for the book, and then I would send it once they provided me an address. I'd love to be able to resume that. I put a pause on it because it seemed like people were not as interested in it as they were initially. I don't know quite what happened. I'm sure it was something I did because everyone here obviously likes books. So I want to, though, reintroduce that and keep doing that because, and I'll be honest here, not only has my channel grown, but also I recently took some of my books to a place near me whose name will not be mentioned because I don't want to put any of that negative energy out there, but I went to a place near me to offload some of my books, and the experience I had there was terrible, and in my head I was thinking about how just recently I had packed up a book, drove it over to the post office, and sent it to somebody who emailed me and said they were really interested in it. And that experience was 1,000 times more pleasurable than the experience of getting 50 cents for a book that the person was going to sell for $25. It made no sense why I was doing that. And if I have to pay a little bit of shipping to get a book to somebody who really wants it, I will happily do that. It's been a great experience, and I want to keep doing that. So the book I'm giving away for today's video is Lolita by Nabokov. So this is the vintage classics edition. It's the one that like every college student has, including this college student when he was in college. So if you want this, it's not marked up in any way. I did dog ear some of the pages, but I'll flatten those out before I ship it. If you're interested in it, again, it's pretty much in perfect condition. Just send me an email, tell me that you want it, and if you're the first one and you're enthusiastic enough, I guess, I'll send it to you. But you've got to be in the lower 48, unfortunately. Continental United States only. I cannot ship internationally. So, with that preamble out of the way, let's get into the books. This, like my usual book hauls, is sort of a conglomeration of multiple book shopping sprees. A couple of these books are new. I've got 3 new in front of me, a couple from today's book buying adventure, and then 2 that are in front of me I actually mentioned on this channel before. At the end of my monk video, I included a kind of outtake section where I went to my local half-price books to pick out to find 2 books. My initial impetus was going that time was that I had a dream, believe it or not, about Parker's Back, that Flannery O'Connor short story, and I tried to procure myself a copy of her collected short stories, which I was not able to find. But I was able to find 2 other things that I was happy to find, and those were Edgar Allan Poe, The Complete Tales and Poems, with this crazy cover, but it's from Barnes and Noble, and these Barnes and Noble hardcovers. If you've been around on this channel for a while, or you know I love them. So this is great to have. There's been a 10,000, more than that. There's been millions of these collected tales and poems by Edgar Allan Poe, and this is by certainly I don't think objectively the best one, but it's the one I want, and I'm very glad that I have it. So I was happy to find that, and then I also was able to get myself a copy of The Persian Boy by Mary Renault. Very happy to find this as well. This is part of her quartet on of historical novels about Alexander the Great. So that was exciting for me to find as well. Okay, and then let's talk about today's book shopping spree. The first one that I found is a brand new book. It's Careless People by Sarah Wynne Williams. This is one of those books that I think, I don't know, fell off of a truck or something, and I don't think it's used in the sense that somebody read it. I think it's used in the sense that it can't be sold as new anymore. It looks pretty great to me, pretty good condition. You can tell there's a little bit of scuffs on it, but I don't care. I saw this, of course, at Barnes & Noble. It's being advertised pretty prominently right now. If you're into book shopping, you've probably come across this. It's definitely getting a promotional push, which is not the reason that I think it's interesting. I don't typically read books like this, and so I wanted to give it a shot. I honestly will probably start it tonight, even though it's not on my TBR. I didn't think I would end up seeing this for half off in a half price books anytime soon, but here it is. So I bought it immediately, and yeah, I want to give it a shot. I want to see what this is. I don't think any of this information is going to be too unfamiliar to me, but I'd love to be able to read it, and if I can make a brief little video on it and talk about it, that might serve to help people who are, shopping for books and come across this as well and are interested in it but don't necessarily want to buy it for $32. I'm sure that's the price. Yeah, $32.99 actually. It's pretty steep, like most hardcovers like this. So maybe I'll do that. I'll dip into it tonight and see what I think, and maybe I'll end up making a video about it. But good find. I mean, brand new book in my half price books. So there you go. Then we have a pretty interesting one. We've got Devil Take the Hindmost by Edward Chancellor. It's a history of financial speculation. And let's read the inside flap here. Many modern economists hold that speculation is a benign economic activity, that it is always rational in motivation and rarely adverse in its effects. The struggles of the United States after the crash of 1929 and of Japan in the 1990s suggest otherwise. Some commentators, the financial financier George Soros among them, believe that growing speculative forces threaten a global financial crisis. When did this come out? Let's see. This came out 1999. Okay, so we've had at least two since then, right? Devil Take the Hindmost is an original and challenging history of stock market speculation from the 17th century to the present day, through vivid accounts of the speculative activities, wise and unwise, of investors ranging from Daniel Defoe to Benjamin Disraeli to Ivan Boesky. Edward Chancellor shows that speculation is not driven solely by the desire to make money, by fear and greed, but springs from a wider range of human compulsions and aspirations. Okay, we'll see. We'll see about this. This is nevertheless something I wanted to read because I am not some sort of Wall Street speculator by any means, but I am interested. I have read a couple of books about the economy, a couple of books about wealth and money. One of the best ones that I read was a book called Among Gods and Men, I believe it's called. It was put out by Princeton University Press, of course. It had a beautiful cover that featured a Rembrandt painting on it. But that book was fascinating. It was a study of wealth across many, many, many centuries, how the wealthy used their money, what they used their money for, how the average population treated those with wealth, what the people with wealth were expected to do, how that changed over time, and how the wealthy today operate. Fascinating book. I had a great time reading it. I also read, what is it? The Delusions of Crowds, Charles Mackay. What's the full title? It's got a long, long title. But that one opens very famously with three discussions of financial bubbles that burst, the most famous of which being, of course, tulip mania. And most of the descriptions of tulip mania come from that book. So I have had some experience reading books on economies, on money, and whatnot. I am no expert by any stretch, but when I come across a book like this, I generally try and make the time to read it, so that I know a little bit more than I did the day before about it. So we'll see. The next this is an exciting one. This was in their clearance section. This was a whole $3. It's the classic illustrated Sherlock Holmes by, of course, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. But what makes this special and cool is that it features the facsimiles of the original newspaper printing. Which I think is great. It says here are the original Sherlock Holmes stories by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle as they first appeared in the British magazine The Strand. This periodical was the literary sensation of its time, especially with the publication of the novel The Hound of the Baskervilles, which appears in its entirety in this volume. When eager readers lined up outside of the magazine's London offices waiting for each installment as it came off the press. This edition contains 37 short stories reproduced in complete facsimile, plus the complete novel The Hound of the Baskervilles. Today, the collection of the original issues of The Strand containing the Holmes stories is a rare collector's piece. It is brought to you now, complete and unabridged, comprising a total of well over 600 pages, providing the underlying excitement and fascination of each and every Sherlock Holmes adventure. And I think what's really cool about it is, like, the amount of illustrations in this is crazy. Like, I had no idea that the Sherlock Holmes stories, as they appeared originally, had so much in the way of illustration. I mean, it's almost on. Oh, here's the most famous one. Can't believe I just randomly flipped to that. Wow. But yeah, I mean, how awesome is that? I thought this was great, and for $2, $3, I'd definitely take it. So, and it's in perfect condition. It's yellowed, but it's in perfect condition. And I must confess, I am a complete Sherlock newbie. I don't read much Sherlock at all. So I did watch that show, and I did like the first 2 seasons of it. Of course, it fell off a cliff dramatically as it went on after that. But the one with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman was pretty interesting when it was on. The next is Stories of the Great Operas and Their Composers by Ernest Newman. Ernest Newman is probably most remembered, I think, for his work on Wagner. And he wrote a very large biography of Wagner. I think it stretched across multiple volumes. He wrote a lot on, obviously, Wagner's music. And obviously, he's just a general expert in operas in general. So it says here on the inside flap, Ernest Newman, one of the most respected operatic authorities, first published Stories of the Great Operas to critical acclaim. His subsequent volumes, More Stories of the Great Operas and the Wagner Operas, were received with equal enthusiasm. Here in one omnibus volume, the complete text of all 3 books brings to life the superb music and extraordinary romance of 30 years of the world's greatest operas. Newman gives the reader the opera's complete story, a thorough understanding of the action on stage, and reveals the other important musical and dramatic elements not always apparent in performance. Each section is accompanied by a comprehensive biography of the composer, and the text is generously illustrated with musical examples. the perfect source book for opera buffs, which I am not, by the way. Stories of the Great Operas provides as complete an understanding of the works as possible without actually studying scores, libretti, scholarly biographies, and musical criticism. Newman's prodigious grasp of the subject is clear at every turn, are his excellent writing as are his excellent writing and ready wit. His treatment of the operas and their composers is rich with musical and dramatic material acquired during a lifetime of study and writing. So this is another book to add to the pile on music that I've been accruing. I love reading about music, to be honest. I've gotten a lot of enjoyment out of it over the years. I'm not a huge opera guy. I have never actually physically attended an opera. I've never seen one. I'd love to see one. But, operas are really interesting to me generally because they are, in a certain sense, a kind of artistic apogee. You see so many different artistic mediums coming together in the opera, and I think that's fascinating. And so I've had some good experiences reading about the opera in the past, and when I saw this, I was very interested in it, especially because I recognized the name Ernest Newman. And of course, there you go, Barnes & Noble, another Barnes & Noble hardcover. Can't go wrong. And now we've got the three new books that I have on my pile here. The first is The Education of Henry James, an autobiography. I got this because of how much fun I had reading Edmund Goss's Father and Son. Loved reading that. I was aware of the existence of this, and I was excited to read it based on how much fun I had with Edmund Goss. So hopefully they'll be kind of in the same vein. I'm not sure. I actually read the first chapter last night when I got it and really enjoyed it, but it was a little bit more dense than I was expecting it to be. So we'll see. I don't think I will. I definitely think I'll enjoy this, but we'll see. We'll see how it compares to Father and Son. It's definitely substantially longer, that's for sure. The next is a Steve Donahue recommendation. I feel very proud of myself. I gave a couple of nonfiction recommendations, and then that snowballed into Steve Donahue making multiple videos where he recommended things, which was awesome, and I watched those videos in rapt attention and went out of my way to procure myself some of those books that he was recommending. The first of which is The Invaders by Pat Shipman. How Humans and Their Dogs Drove Neanderthals to Extinction. This is a book that was interesting from his first mention of it. I was able to get a copy of it new, and it's funny, I was flipping through it, and check this out. I don't know if you could see that very well, but this is these images show what a mammoth bone hut looked like. Living inside of a mammoth bone hut is probably the most metal thing that any human has ever done ever. So that makes me even more intrigued to read this. Definitely a book up my alley. Maybe I'll be able to fit it into this month before we reach the end. It's not very long. I'd love to be able to make time for it if I can. Okay, and then this is the last book on the pile, believe it or not. It's East-West Street by Felipe Sands. We'll read the back here. A profound and profoundly important book. You don't say. You could honestly clip a sentence like that off of this book and put it on the back of any nonfiction book that's ever been published, because that's always what publishers want to convince you of, that this book is profound and that it's profoundly important. But anyway, it doesn't tell you anything about the book, is what I'm saying, getting at. Anyway, a moving personal detective story, an uncovering of secret pasts, and a book that explores the creation and development of world-changing legal concepts that came about as a result of the unprecedented atrocities of Hitler's Third Reich. East-West Street looks at the personal and intellectual evolution of the two men who simultaneously originated the ideas of genocide and crimes against humanity. Although unknown to each other, they studied at the same university with the same professors in a city little known today that was a major cultural center of Europe. the Little Paris of Ukraine, variously called Lemberg, Lvov, or Lviv, Lviv. It is also a spellbinding family memoir in which the author traces the mysterious story of his grandfather as he maneuvered through Europe in the face of Nazi atrocities. So this is another book to add to my still really small pile of World War II books, but I've heard good things about this, and I am definitely interested in the origins of an idea, and the idea that is encountered in the word genocide or crimes against humanity is going to immediately prick up my ears and get my attention. So that's why I got it. And by the way, I don't know if you can tell, this is an oversized paperback. You can see this is a more standard sized paperback here with the invaders. But I love this. I love this in the hand. It feels great, and I would honestly much prefer to have this in the softcover that I have here than in a hardcover. So I was happy to get my hands on this as well. So anyway, we've got a big stack here. I'm not going to hold it up on camera just yet because it's going to take the wind out of me, I think. But that's it for me today. Again, just as a reminder, Lolita, Vladimir Nabokov, if you want it, let me know. I will happily send it to you. And that'll be it for me today, and I think that'll be it for me this week, probably. I will see you all on Monday. Thank you, BookTube.